I had a heat stroke at the Taylor Swift concert in Rio De Janeiro on Friday. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm dying. This is what dying is like. Ana Benevides tragically lost her life at that same concert, and I believe in the same section that I was in even. It kills me to know that the same people who were handling me were responsible for her life. I believe that the negligence of those organizers and its employees could even potentially be responsible for her life.
People were dropping, like literally dropping like flies everywhere. They were being carried out. When people were passing out, they were literally dragging and carrying them over the barricades. You could not get out. Once the general admission gates opened, chaos ensued, right? It was packed. It was hot. It felt like about 120 degrees where we were. My phone overheated and shut itself off and said it needed to cool down. Our legs were dripping sweat, like actual dripping sweat. And that's when the water situation got really bad.
And so I'm like, hey, water, water. And I'm mouthing for water and I'm saying water. And they're just ignoring me. They're looking me in the eyes and doing nothing.
A lot of people are like dying of heat stroke, literally. Thousands of people are being taken out in the ambulance from the heat.
What in the world was going on at the Eras Tour in Brazil? I cannot believe how many things happened at this show. You may not know this about me, but I am a Swiftie. So if you're a Swiftie, let me know in the comments down below. I got to see the Eras Tour Kansas City Night 2, and I can definitely say it was one of the most mind-blowing experiences of my life. I was very close to her. I could see the sweat on her face, honeys. I was right up there. She did incredible. Like, she was up there performing for 3 hours straight, and there were parts that I had to sit down because my legs were sore just from standing there in cowboy boots. It was such a mind-blowing experience that, to be honest, I kind of disassociated. I don't know if like it was sensory overload. I don't know what was going on. Sometimes I have to go back and look at the videos that I filmed just to remind myself that I was actually there, because it was just so much to take in, but it was incredible. So I have been watching, you know, little tidbits here and there, some of the lives and stuff like that when she has been performing, because I'm just interested in it. I like to see what surprise songs she's gonna play, and sometimes there's little surprises. And now I'm waiting for Reputation, because 1989 Taylor's version just came out. So, you know, I'm wondering, is there gonna be Reputation, Taylor's version, Easter eggs? It's just fun to watch. But there were so many things that went down in Brazil that it was, honestly, it got to the point where I was kind of scared about what else is gonna happen. Should she even be performing? Because so many things happened, and some of them incredibly tragic, some of them not as tragic and heartbreaking. But I wanted to do like a full video kind of going over all of the things that happened at this show, because it was unbelievable. But before I get into that, I just want to say that I'm going to look and see if there is any GoFundMes or places where you can donate to Ana's family, who unfortunately passed away. She was a fan of Taylor Swift who was at the Eras Tour in Brazil. And because of the heat index, which we're going to be talking about in this video, and how hot it was there, she actually ended up passing away. And if there is anywhere that we can donate to her, I'm gonna link it down below. Ana Benevides was 23 years old when she died at Taylor Swift's Eras Tour show in Rio de Janeiro on the 17th of November. She was a Brazilian student and an extremely young, excitable, happy-go-lucky girl. She is very loved by her family and friends, and what happened at the Eras Tour was completely unforeseen, unexpected, and absolutely horrific and tragic in every way that you could possibly imagine. Ana had been recording videos and taking pictures at the show, which makes this even more upsetting, being able to see how happy and excited she was to be able to see Taylor. She had even posted on her Twitter before the concert. A criminal investigation was opened to determine an official cause of death, and a consumer inquiry was launched on the event organizer, Brazilian entertainment company TF4. TF4 stands for Time for Fun, and it's a Brazilian entertainment company that was the third largest live entertainment company in Latin America and one of the largest in the world according to Billboard.
T4F is obviously currently under scrutiny due to their mismanagement of the Brazilian leg of the Eras Tour by Taylor Swift, including failing to prevent scalpers from cutting in the lines for concert tickets and for the death of Ana Benevides. They're also under scrutiny because they banned water bottles in the venue during a heat wave. Ana and a friend arrived at the concert venue at around 11 a.m. and they were early entry VIP ticket holders. Ana had created a WhatsApp group to keep her family updated on the concert and would regularly share pictures and videos. Posted a video of herself on Instagram, queuing to enter the stadium while seeking shade under an umbrella. Ana told her followers while fanning her face that she arrived at 11 a.m. and that she was still in the mess. Another attendee compared the conditions inside of the stadium to a sauna. It was extremely hot. My hair got so wet from sweat as soon as I came in. There was a point at which I had to check my breathing to make sure I wasn't going to pass out. Before the show began, Benevides reported to paramedics present at the stadium that she was feeling unwell. She fainted around 7:30 p.m. during Taylor's performance of Cruel Summer, the second song on the tour's set list. According to Time for Fun, paramedics attended to Ana before she was rushed to a first aid center and then to Salgado Filho Hospital, where she died an hour later, despite several resuscitation attempts. Rio de Janeiro's health service agency reported that she arrived at the hospital without a pulse. The state's public prosecutor opened a criminal investigation and announced that Ana Benevides' body was being examined to determine a cause of death. She died of cardiac arrest due to dehydration. Ana Benevides' mother, Adriana, appeared emotional in a video responding to the fundraiser that was launched after the young woman died after Friday's Eras Tour show in Rio de Janeiro. Thank God, we reached the goal this morning. We got the amount that allows us to do everything that we wanted. Thank God, a lot of people have donated. Prior to this, the family had been having trouble getting Ana's body back to them. The stadium show organizers, Time for Fun, also subsequently came under fire for allegedly not helping the psychology student's family transport her body back to her home state of Mato Grosso do Sul. This is what hurts the most. She's been there since Friday. The people from the concert who put it together aren't giving us the support to bring her home. Things don't get through to the singers and the artists don't know about this, but we wanted them to help us bring her home because we're having to pay for everything. Taylor Swift did put out a heartbreaking statement about Ana's passing that said, "I can't believe I'm writing these words, but it is with a shattered heart that I say we lost a fan earlier tonight before my show. Can't even tell you how devastated I am by this. There's very little information I have other than the fact that she was so incredibly beautiful and far too young. I'm not going to be able to speak about this from stage because I feel overwhelmed by grief when I even try to talk about it. I want to say now I feel this loss deeply and my broken heart goes out to her family and friends. This is the last thing I ever thought would happen when we decided to bring this tour to Brazil." Taylor would also be under scrutiny later by people on social media because Ana's family said that she hadn't reached out to them. Since this, we have seen that Ana's family was at the last show in Brazil and that they had taken a picture with the singer and that she did contact them.
There was also a 25-year-old boy by the name of Gabriel Santos that was stabbed to death in Brazil, and he was actually visiting there to see the show. He had a friendship bracelet on his wrist and everything.
The 25-year-old was named Gabriel Malahomem Santos. He was killed just hours after he attended Taylor's show at Nilton Santos Olympic Stadium in Rio de Janeiro. According to reports, he was wearing a Swifties friendship bracelet at the time that he was knifed to death while resting on Copacabana Beach in the early hours of Sunday morning, November 19th. Understood that he was with his two cousins, and the three of them decided to go for a swim on the famous beach that night. As per the messenger, Santos had fallen asleep when he was approached by three men. He woke up suddenly in the middle of the assault. His family members have since said he will be laid to rest tomorrow in his hometown and western state of Mato Grosso do Sul. In a loving but also heartbreaking tribute, he will be buried wearing the outfit he handmade specifically for Taylor Swift's concert. His family said that he was fulfilling a dream by traveling to see Taylor's show. His loved ones described him as cheerful, affectionate, and extremely studious.
And also, before I even continue, I want to say this is not, sending negativity toward anyone in Brazil at all in any way, shape, or form. This is just talking about all of the bad things that happened because it was a lot. Like, as someone who's been watching it from the beginning to the end, I couldn't believe it. So I want to say that I've also seen a lot of positive things. Like, I saw how Swifties in the audience made the Brazilian flag out of their phone lights and how everyone came together to do that. It was so amazing. The support that most of you showed Taylor Swift during this time and the love that you showed her when you know that this was like a struggle for her to get through because of everything. Those of you that have been understanding, I think has been amazing. And there are a lot of people who had to, you know, make arrangements so that they could be at the show once it was postponed, and they were able to do that. And I know that whatever you all went through in that heat and how difficult that was, there were people who were out there waiting in the heat before the show got postponed. And I know that that had to be one of the worst experiences, just be out there waiting to see Taylor and then to be told like an hour before she's coming on that she's not going to, and you got to go home.
All tickets for today's performance will remain valid for Monday's show. For more,
devido às condições adversas meteorológicas de hoje e priorizando a segurança do público, o show de hoje da Taylor Swift serão válidos para o show de segunda. Para obter mais informações. Show de segunda. Para obter mais.
Today is November 18th, and they've postponed it. Tickets are valid until Monday the 20th. But everybody's mad, and a lot of people are like dying of heat stroke, literally. Thousands of people are being taken out in the ambulance from the heat. So they said due to the heat, they're canceling Taylor Swift's show, postponing it.
Some people probably didn't get to make arrangements to go back, and I know that that had to be really difficult. Just wanted to pop up here really quick to remind you guys to check out KYREBEK.
With KYREBEK, you can get personalized vitamins shipped directly to your door. All you have to do is take a quiz about your goals, lifestyle, and values, and KYREBEK will personalize a plan that's backed by science just for you. KYREBEK helped me be more consistent with my vitamins, making it easy for me to take them every day. So click the link in my description and head over to KYREBEK.
So first, I want to talk about the heat there. I couldn't believe how hot it was. Like, whenever I first heard about this, I did not realize that the heat was as bad as it was or got as hot as it did. It's unbelievable. I don't know. I just heard they were under a heat advisory, but you may not know exactly how hot it really was.
Important to know that at the show that Ana had passed away at, 1,000 other fans had fainted, that it was over 130 degrees Fahrenheit.
So hot that you can't even regulate your own body temperature at that point. How Taylor Swift was up there and performed this entire show with it being this hot, I have no idea. I mean, you could see the stress on her entire performance. I don't know from her view if she was seeing people faint or not, but I heard over 1,000 people fainted at this show. I mean, there are some clips of Taylor while she's performing that are very disturbing. One where it looks like she's having trouble catching her breath. Some people said this is what they look like while they're having a panic attack. Other people said that she was probably about to faint because sometimes when people like singers and performers are about to pass out, they'll put their hands behind their backs and like straighten up like she did in this clip. The way that she was able to just flip back into performer mode. People that were at this show said that the stadium did not allow water into the stadium. The one I went to, you could bring in like a water bottle or a water bottle sized drink. They didn't allow it here. They didn't allow people to bring in water. I do not think it should be allowed anywhere on this planet to deprive people of water or to put people in a situation where they're forced to pay for it. Some people may not have the means to pay for water. Water should be free. You shouldn't have to pay for water, period. And in a place like this, you should be able to bring water with you. It should never be something that you're prevented from having. It is a necessity. As a human being, we need water to survive. And during this heat, what did they think was gonna happen? The negligence of this whole entire place was ridiculous. This was so avoidable. So not only did they not allow them water, but then obviously the water in the stadium was so unbelievably expensive.
Video was shared on TikTok by Derek Relia. I'm going to have the source leaked down below for you to the full TikTok. He shared his experience at this venue. It shows how negligent they were, and in my personal opinion, the responsibility that is on their shoulders for Anna's passing. I think more people need to see this because his experience is terrible, and there's no telling what we would hear from Anna had she lived to tell the way that they treated her at this show.
I had a heat stroke at the Taylor Swift concert in Rio De Janeiro on Friday, and now that I see that Ana Benevides' father is looking to investigate the situation, I think it's important that I share my story to shed some light into how the venue was handling medical emergencies on that day. I brought two 1.5 liters of water at this point, or to the venue, and I spent 5 reais in total on those two 1.5 liter bottles of water. So I'm like, I've got water, I'm good. So I'm about to go in, and he's like, no, you have to throw those waters away. I'm like, what? And he was like, yeah, you can't bring them. I'm showing him, I'm telling him, like, hey, it's sealed. I just need water because I'm dehydrated and it's a hot day. And he's like, nope, no outside water. Drink as much as I can of my first water, and then I throw them both away. I run to the stage and I get as close as I can, which I was like 1 or 2 people from the barricade. And I think it's important to mention that I think I was also right alongside or very close to Ana Benevides, which means we were dealing with the same security there, I believe. So during the concert, and since arriving, I was desperately in need of water pretty quickly because it's such a hot day, and after running so much, I was sweating intensely, and also we're just in a crowd of people in this insane heat. I think they said 40 degrees Celsius, but it was, the atmospheric feel was closer to 60 degrees Celsius, like 130 something Fahrenheit. So a very, very hot day in a crowd of people packed like sardines is just unbearable. I'm sweating everywhere. And so there's these security guards that are right in front of me because I'm near the barricade, and I'm like, hey, can I have some water? Because they have this water to pass out, as they do at every concert venue I've ever been to. They have water that security's meant to pass out to the people in the audience so they can stay hydrated. And so I'm like, hey, water, water. And I'm mouthing for water, and I'm saying water, and they're just ignoring me. They're looking me in the eyes and doing nothing. And I start to feel like I'm really not doing well anymore. I'm losing too much water out of my body. I'm sweating to the point where my camera lens is wet from the sweat, and there's nowhere I can dry it. Every part of my clothes is drenched, my body's wet, and so no matter where I put it, like, it's just getting wetter and wetter. And I'm like, okay, I need to do something. And I'm like, I need water, I need to leave. So I make a couple last ditch attempts, and I'm like, can I get water? Can I get water? And talking to the security, to no avail. So I'm like, okay, I'm leaving. This isn't worth my life. I'm really close to fainting at this point, and I don't have any energy to lift myself over the barricade, but I'm at the barricade trying to go over, and the security guard comes over and is screaming at me, no, 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 you go back, go through the audience. And if you can imagine the Taylor Swift concert being at the front row, it's really difficult to leave the audience going backwards, especially when you're in the middle of passing out and you don't have the energy to push through those people. So I'm like, I can't. And I'm saying that, and he's like just pointing back. I'm like, the people around me help me to struggle over the barricade as he's trying to prevent me from going over, and I manage my way over, and he's grabbing me and supporting me because I'm falling over and essentially dragging me out of the stadium. And I'm like, okay, he's gonna bring me to a medic. No, he brings me to a drink vendor. And so I'm at the drink vendor, he brings me to the counter, and he lets me go, and I immediately fall over because I'm barely conscious right now. I cannot support myself, and I'm on the ground, and they give me a chair, and they put me in the chair, and I'm like, okay. They get some people to come over and fan me, and I'm like, okay, I need water. And that's the only word that I'm capable of saying. I'm barely vocal because I'm so dehydrated, and I'm just saying water, 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 and I'm crying, and I'm begging for water. And then the people are fanning me, and they get somebody over to put ice on my wrists. And she's like, says that she's gonna look for a pulse, and she's feeling for pulse on my wrist, on my neck, and she's like, I don't feel a pulse. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm dying. This is what dying is like. I just assumed that's what it was going on. And I'm saying water, 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 and they're not getting me water. And they're saying, you have to pay for the water. You have to pay for the water. And I'm just saying water, water. And I'm like trying to grab my wallet. And they charge me 40 reais for what I consider to be about 1 liter of water, most likely, which just to put into perspective, I paid 5 reais for 2.5 liters of water. So the conversion is, I paid about 24 times what I paid for water outside of the stadium if I'm measuring their amount of water correctly, which is an insane amount of price gouging, especially for someone in a medical emergency. Ana Benevides tragically lost her life at that same concert, and I believe in the same section that I was in even. It kills me to know that the same people who were handling me were responsible for her life. I believe that the negligence of those organizers and its employees could even potentially be responsible for her life being lost.
And then they were saying that there were vents that the stadium actually closed. These vents were closed because they didn't want people on the outside to be able to see any of the performance. But when they did this, what they did was they made the stadium, like inside of it, be like a sauna for everyone in it. It was like all the heat was trapped inside. And then people were begging Taylor, before they performed the night that ended up getting postponed, they were begging Taylor to not set off the bad blood fire during that set, because if you guys know, they shoot out fire. And so when they did that the first night, it made everything so much hotter. Like the heat that was already in this place was just magnified by these flames. I don't know why anybody thought that that was a good idea under these circumstances. I guess they didn't really think about it, but it's like, you just heated up the place even more. You turned it into an oven.
It's also important to watch this video as well, where someone else who was at the show, that I will also have these full videos linked down below from her, saying that at the Brazilian shows, there are no seats. So it's basically first come, first serve. Whoever is to the front is to the front. If you leave that spot, you lose your spot. And everybody was just packed in there like sardines. So if you felt like you were going to pass out or that you needed to go and get water, you were having to walk and push through thousands of people to get to the vendors to get water.
If you are in a venue in the United States, people leave and they go get water and they go to the bathroom. However, in Brazil, it was all open floor. If you were anywhere within 10 rows of the stage, you were basically pinned to the stage. You could not get out. You couldn't. When people were passing out, they were literally dragging and carrying them over the barricades in front of the stage. You could not walk back. There were thousands of people. Like, oh, let me just go get water and come back. So once the floor filled up, the vendors that were coming in to sell water couldn't make it to where we were. It is a very different situation than a concert in the United States, where there are seats, and if you leave your seat, you're not going to lose it. But also, there were no chairs on the floor whatsoever. So it is the way things are done in Brazil and a lot of other countries. We're going to Paris, and Paris has similar admission. Once the general admission gates opened, chaos ensued, right? It was packed. It was hot. It felt like about 120 degrees where we were. My phone overheated and shut itself off and said it needed to cool down. Our legs were dripping sweat, like actual dripping sweat. And that's when the water situation got really bad. That is when this angel of a man, his name is Dustin, I'm going to show him here, this angel of a man, and I know he's from Taylor's security team, started arguing with the Brazilian security guy, like, you gotta give them water. The Brazilian guy's like, oh, you can't throw water, and then he said, I will pass the water. So he started passing water to me and this group of people that I met during the show, and we just kept passing it back. And I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cups. People were dropping, like literally dropping like flies everywhere. They were being carried out. A couple of people that were in my immediate group passed out and either had to be carried out, or one girl actually like managed to walk out of the crowd.
The crew and people working at the stadium should have been handing people water like crazy. They should have been walking around everywhere, seeing who needed water and giving them what they needed. But Taylor is on stage trying to perform, walking around to giving people water and throwing water bottles to fans that needed it. Stopping the standing ovation to make sure somebody got water. Like, you could tell she was so stressed up there.
Water! Do you see that? It's right, sorry, it's just very hot, so when somebody says they need water when it's this hot, they really need it. Do you see this? Do you see it? Are we good? We don't need to chant, it's totally fine. We just need to get water to them. Does anyone at all here have water? You got it? Do you see them now? Okay, it's coming. Amazing.
And that's not her job. Her job was to get up there and perform her show. It was everyone else's job. It was on the floor to make sure that her fans were getting water and that they were safe. When I watched her perform during the All Too Well set, she stood in place, played guitar. During this one, she was walking around on the whole stage, like looking in the audience, and people were saying that it was because she was trying to look to see who needed water or if anybody needed help. So over 1,000 people fainted, and then unfortunately Anna lost her life. This was so preventable, and it's so sad that this happened. And when Taylor left off the stage, she had a towel on her head. The hotel staff that she was staying at, they were allegedly saying, I don't know if this is true or not, but that she was seen crying.
In the midst of all of this, when Taylor had left the show, covered up the license plates of the vehicles so that people wouldn't be able to follow her to her hotel or know who she was. In Brazil, this is illegal, so when the police force found out about this, they went to the hotel and sorted things out with Taylor's transportation team. Rumors began circulating on the internet that the Brazilian police had actually doxed Taylor's location because when they showed up there and all of the police were outside, that it gave it away that Taylor was staying there.
I'm gonna be very honest, I had not heard anything about this, and I actually went online and did some research and read some articles. What happened was the company that is doing the transport for Taylor Swift and her team, the drivers were instructed to cover the license plates on the cars. And that is a crime in Brazil. You're not supposed to cover the license plates. And so the federal police went to the hotel where the cars were. They didn't impound it in a sense of like they took the cars away. No, they went there and they said, hold on, we can't be using the cars like this. They did their investigation, they uncovered the license plates, and everything's good to go. The incident was resolved. So please don't say the cars were impounded, like they just came, took them, and she was left without cars. No, they came, spoke to the transportation company, cleared out the problem, and it's all solved now.
You know, people really wanted Taylor to speak out about it on stage, and I think that she did that while performing the song Bigger Than the Whole Sky. She changed a lyric. I don't know if it was on purpose or on accident, but it was the way that it was changed and the way that she sang it. Her voice was, you could just hear that she was struggling to get through the song. She put out a statement saying that she wasn't going to be able to speak about it, but that her heart was shattered. People were upset that she just put out this statement and that she didn't get up there and say anything about her. I have never performed, obviously, a 3-hour show. I just sit in a chair on YouTube and film videos. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just sitting on my butt right now. I can imagine that having to perform like that maybe speaking could break you and be really difficult to perform your duty and to do what needs to be done. But I do think that watching her during that performance after all of the news broke, you could see it in her face that this was affecting her. I couldn't make sense of like why all of this really bad stuff was happening surrounding this situation. When people were leaving the stadium the first night of the show, I forgot to mention this, they were ambushed by robbers and mugged. And then the second night when they were leaving after it was postponed, it happened again. People were hiding in a Burger King. Now there was this one girl that I couldn't believe this. She apparently had posted on her social media that she hoped that Taylor would be assaulted and killed because of her postponing the show. I mean, it took it to another level, right? There were people that were like flipping off the stage and flipping off pictures of Taylor or wearing, you know, playing music of Kanye and all this stuff because they were mad that it was postponed. But this took it to another level. She literally wished death on Taylor. And I'm not saying that she deserved this because this is awful and no one deserves this, but I think karma got her because the girl that said that ended up being assaulted herself. Like, I completely understand people being so mad at the situation, being mad at the stadium. Like, I can understand people being mad at that. Water should have been allowed in the stadium. They never should have closed the vents that had fans in it that could have cooled off the stadium. The bad blood fire should have never been shot off. People should have had water, and their well-being and safety should have been priority first and foremost, okay? Now, people were really mad at Taylor because it was postponed last minute. It was within an hour, I believe, of when she was about to go on stage or when the opening acts were. And so people had been waiting there, waiting in line. It was still super hot and people were outside waiting. And so they were very mad when this happened. People were crying, but I think they need to understand that, you know, there could have been more fatalities had this not been postponed. You should never have a show where it is so hot that over 1,000 people have fainted. There was a video of someone being wheeled out on a stretcher. You're supposed to go to these shows to have fun, not for your life to be in danger. I've also seen people say, oh, she should never go to Brazil again and things like that. But I just think it was a bunch of bad things that happened at once. And, you know, I don't blame Brazil for that. I think it was just a disaster, and it doesn't mean every show she would ever perform there would be that way. Did you guys hear about all this? Did you know any of this? I cannot believe this happened. It's so sad. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below, and I will be seeing you for another video.